Hi, this is Derek. So, the road to hell, it's paved with good intentions, as we all know, and it's this exact same road that I think Tony and the gang are very dangerously flirting with going down. In the Avengers, The Age of Ultron, this is the newest big Marvel crossover Avengers movie. It's the second Avengers movie, of course, like you don't know. Obviously, you've heard of it and seen it, probably. But I had some thoughts on it I wanted to talk about a little bit. Probably will have some spoilers, but nothing too major in this review, if that's a big deal for you. But by now, I think the whole world has seen it, so pretty safe there. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. And I think, with these Marvel movies, I think it is in some ways a step forward. Like, I'll say right now, I do like the first movie better, the first Avengers movie better. Only because it does feel like, a tried and true kind of classic. Like, a lot of people kind of compared it to, oh yeah, it's like the superhero version of, like, Magnificent Seven, or Seven Samurai, if you prefer. In that, with that first kind of set of movies, the Phase 1, we're getting to know these characters individually, and then it is a novelty that they kind of play off with the Avengers, with the crossover movie, which I thought they did exceptionally well. But the thing is, you have to move forward with it, so I give this movie praise for moving forward with that, and moving forward with just really comic booky kind of concepts and elements to it that you wouldn't see in movies even 10 years ago at this point, just because some of the concepts are so out there, so sci-fi in their nature, so right out of the comic book. So, I mean, people love that. But at the same time, it's like, with some of these movies, I was kind of getting sick of the whole MacGuffin angles to them, where it's like, okay, glowing blue thing, it can destroy the world. Glowing purple thing, it can destroy the world. Glowing red stuff can also destroy the world. So that stuff kind of has been getting old with me, or for me, I should say. But I mean, I know, comic book fans will argue that, well, it's leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet, which, yeah, fine, but still, I want something a little more tangible in these kinds of movies. And when we had the first Avengers, there was at least, Tom Hiddleston playing the Loki character, which is really good. He's a villain, but not too threatening of a villain. I think with Ultron, definitely step up in the villain department, definitely more of a threat. And what is so appealing about this kind of villain and this kind of challenge to the group, to the Avengers, is that he does come sort of from within, basically. As I said, it's good intentions that kind of create him. I mean, it's not an unreasonable kind of idea behind it, where, yeah, Tony's like, hey, we might all die one of these days, and though we want to be Avengers, we want to avenge the world. We kind of need something, like, as he puts it, a bouncer at the door of the world. We want a shield, a metal shield over the world. And it sounds like a cold world, doesn't it? And they learn that the hard way. So there's good intentions behind it, but of course, things go wrong, and Ultron is in the scene, and he's kind of shaking things up, and he has his own ideas of what these good intentions are. And the fact that he does kind of come from within Tony and his work and his personality is kind of what gives it an edge. It's kind of like a negatoni almost. That sounds like a delicious pasta treat, but negatoni, if you want to go with that. James Spader, really great, playing the voice, really menacing, and, it is a special effect that we're watching, but, with technology in movies, we can watch a special effect, like Gollum, or, Caesar, or any other Andy Serkis movies. Andy Serkis is in this movie, by the way, and he's not doing a motion capture performance, which is fucking amazing. But we've reached that level, and I think Spader is kind of part of that. I don't think I don't know, but, maybe he was in one of those blue suits with, like the balls on it. Whatever, never mind. But yeah, at this point, I mean, it comes from kind of a darkness within them, sort of, conceptually, and we have reached a point where we do really like these characters, and we've gotten to know them, and we kind of hurdled over that first challenge of the first movie, where it's like, hey, they're kind of different types of characters, hey, they're kind of conflicting a little bit, but how are they going to get along? Here it's like, okay, they already get along, they're having fun, they're hanging out and partying with each other, which is cool. I mean, the thing is, this movie, it gets right into it, basically, where they're on the mission to get Loki's kind of Tesseract pointy whatever thing. So it gets right into the action scene. It hits the ground running basically with the action, and there's all the fun quips back and forth, all that good stuff. But we've learned that since the other movies in Phase 2, they've kind of found their own challenges and developed in their own certain ways, and all that's really good too. And we do kind of see stuff where some characters didn't get their separate movies, like Black Widow, Hulk, Hawkeye. We kind of sense that there are things that are happening with them too. Like we get basically like a romance between Natasha Romanoff and Bruce Banner, which I thought was good because you can kind of see that those two characters they're very similar in certain ways. That they both feel they're monsters. They don't fit into the world. So I thought that was kind of a nice angle, and for a big movie like this to kind of take its time to play that angle, I appreciated that, and that was pretty cool. And again, we just do really like these characters, and honestly, I mean, in the beginning of the movie, before Ultron kind of goes, "Hey guys," we see them hanging out, and there's a whole scene where they're like trying to lift up the Mjolnir, and Thor's just like, whatever. Whatever. But that was funny, and they're all kind of hanging out, having fun. I'd watch like a whole movie like that. I mean, just their chemistry together. They've assembled these movies so well together that, the individual movies, we have the characters that we like. We like seeing them play off each other, and they do have a good chemistry. And part of that, I mean, as grand of a plan as you can claim it to be, I mean, a lot of that is in the stars, and a lot of that is in the stars of the movie, because they just each have their own appeal. That no wonder these movies make so much money. So there is a star appeal to it, and like even I was thinking to myself, I saw that Jimmy Kimmel sketch where they're playing Avengers Family Feud. Take my fucking money, I'd watch a 2-hour movie of that, I swear. That's how kind of good they are and play off against each other so well. And we do like the characters and kind of where their hearts are at. It is in avenging, it is in preservation of life. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've kind of seen in this movie is that they're trying, with every fiber of their beings to preserve life. Whether it is in New York, whether it is in made-up European country. Their goal is, we gotta protect life. Captain America says in one scene, not one single soul is left on this giant floating island, basically. So that, I mean, there's a response to that. And in that kind of action with those characters, and why this movie is doing it, it's kind of like a big fuck you to Man of Steel, where how there were huge problems with, hey, Superman is fucking destroying the whole city, people must be dying here. Here they make a very specific point to say that, hey, no one's getting hurt here, hey, we're saving people here. There's that one awesome scene where Iron Man and the Hulk, they're battling it out in the streets of New York, and they level a whole fucking building. It explodes, but first, what happens? Iron Man kind of scans the building, he's like, no humans in this building, blah, blah, blah. So it's little things like that I think set it apart. It's the thought in something like that, where we can have fun and still watch this destruction, unlike Man of Steel. So, I mean, their primary goal, amongst everything else, is to preserve life, and it's not just about settling their angst like Superman, but that's neither here nor there. So I think all that is set up well, and I do like how they do set up moments specifically revolving around the characters. Like, there's a section in the movie where they go to the safe house, where we learn a lot about Hawkeye, actually, and his secret life, and how they're not in costume, they're just interacting with each other, and it's compelling. And I think these movies have earned that because the characters are so good, and we know what they're about, so we don't need to develop them any more than how they've already been developed. But they can have their arcs, and they can learn their little lessons, and they can grow as people, as characters, so they feel like characters. And go into a movie like this, ask anybody my age, ask any like fucking 5-year-old, go into a movie like this after seeing all those other movies, that's like seeing old friends, man, and that's pretty awesome. Lots of great action scenes in this one too. Pretty much, I would say, on par with the first movie. Like, I didn't think there was anything like so exceptionally different about the type of action. Like, needless to say, I mean, for me at least, and I'm sure everyone who's got in front of a camera and talked about this movie is gonna say, you know, the battle, the fucking brawl between Hulk and Iron Man. That's kind of like the standout part, and that was pretty awesome. You're like, pff, pff, go to sleep, go to sleep. That was so cool. So I love that. And the end, it's very similar to uh, the first movie, except instead of aliens, it's robots. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But the fact that they're able to set it in this whole kind of universe where it does have this high science fiction concept to it, because Hawkeye even points it out himself. We're on a floating island. There's evil robots everywhere, and I have a bow and arrow. So I think that's cool, and I think they've earned that too, because even if you look at kind of the very first few, so we had Iron Man. You know, it didn't seem too out there. You could kind of believe that this guy could create this metal suit and, you know, fly around the world, stop terrorists and stuff, and that was all good fun. Even with Incredible Hulk, which wasn't the Ruffalo, it was the Norton, which, you know, still sort of has its place. You know, super serum. He, you know, goes into the Hulk. He fights another big fucking Hulk. But that's about it. And I think really the big game changer here must have been Thor, because that introduced the element of, hey, there's other universes out there. There's other sci-fi elements. There's giant robot guard things that blow fire. So that was a game changer, I think. So it kind of heightened things up. And with that, and with how it's constantly expanding in these huge concepts, that yeah, the faults are going to show a little bit more, because they're making this huge concept here, and there's so many elements in play, you know, like the Shield and Hydra conspiracy stuff, and of course, you know, all the stuff that's going on with the crazy elf aliens from Thor: The Dark World, and all these Infinity Stones, and the stuff with Guardians of the Galaxy. So this universe is expanding, so it's becoming less and less kind of leveled in reality, which is a good thing. But at the same time, when you don't limit yourself to all the possibilities, you get a little, you know, over generous with those. So in some ways, the movie is very I don't want to say sloppy, but there's a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of anchors that they have to throw to the other movies to kind of give them connections and things like that. So, I mean, I can't imagine anyone walking into this movie never having seen an Avengers movie, but you got to figure someone somewhere is going to, like, pop this on cable one day, and they'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Who's the guy with the wings? You know, whatever. But, you know, that's the cool thing. So that's why this universe is so expanded. That's why it feels like, you know, the old friends, the familiar superhero characters that we all know and love. Whether, you know, it's a kid in a tent at night reading his little comic books, you know, or whether it's a huge audience seeing this big budget $1 billion movie, there's this universal appeal to that, which I really like. But its faults for what they were, pretty innocuous in the long run of things. Like, maybe the biggest complaint that I had, or at least what I feel made the movie suffer, was that we have this villain that he kind of has this I don't know, this problem of how powerful is he? You know, because if he can access all the databases from Stark and take over computers, they mentioned several times, he's gone into the internet. Okay. You know, why is he focusing on this little plan here, where he wants to destroy the Avengers and, in the larger scheme of things, kind of instigate that next step in human evolution, I guess. You know, he brings up the whole kind of thing with, you know, dinosaurs and asteroids and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. There's that to it, but it's like, well, if he really wants to, you know, fuck with the Avengers, there's a lot more he could have access to. He's unlimited information, you know, that he could probably mess with them a lot more than he already does. So the weirdest thing is that it's the Scarlet Witch character that kind of messes with their minds, which is pretty cool too. I mean, we know these characters enough that when we see those, you know, kind of visions that are brought on by Scarlet Witch, you know, when she kind of like puts her hand over and like pink mist or pink reddish mist comes over them. They have the dreams, you know, like we see a little bit more into Black Widow's backstory too, which is pretty cool. And Steve Rogers, kind of what he's struggling with, and Thor and all that stuff. So we know what kind of makes them tick, and we know what kind of eats at them a little bit too, which again, these characters have been so fleshed out, which is a luxury that hasn't been extended to many superhero movies, so I appreciate that. Other than that, I mean, we're on the next stage now, so they kind of end the movie on kind of a stupid note where you know, all the Avengers are assembling, and you know, Chris Evans, he, you know, right up to the screen, Avengers, cut to black. You know he's going to say assemble, but then he doesn't. It's like, fuck you, come on, just say it. Maybe that'd be too cheesy, but I don't think too cheesy would be in this movie's vocabulary, because there's a lot of stupid stuff. Even with Vision, the new character. Well, we have a few new characters. We have Scarlet Witch, we have Quicksilver. Quicksilver not having a connection to X-Men Days of Future Past, in case you didn't know that. We have Vision, who is kind of like, again, another side of Ultron, like the human sort of form of Ultron, where I thought that was kind of cool, because we finally get to see Paul Bettany in the flesh, as opposed to just a voice, which he's always been the voice of Jarvis. Like, he's been in the movies as much as Robert Downey Jr. has, so he's always been a big part. So it's kind of cool to have him finally see his day, which was cool. So he's a big part of this franchise, really. He's an important part of it, you know. So he's kind of an official Marvel hero, an official Marvel Avenger now in these billion-dollar movies. So way to go, Paul Bettany. And he's probably at home with his wife, Jennifer Connelly. He's like, so, babe, how was that Hulk movie you did? No one remembers that movie, do they? She's probably like, I can't hear you over my Oscar. Anyway, are they still married? I don't even know, but never mind. I thought the movie was very enjoyable. Lots of great action. Very comic booky, which I like. You know, there's too much hesitance to go that extra mile, to go to that really out there place, and this movie goes there, and I really appreciate that. And it does it without sacrificing the characterization, which I really like. Characters have their arcs, you know. We get some kind of profound changes from the characters. You know, even Captain America, he has that it's kind of a profound line. He's like, that man who went into the ice 75 years ago, he maybe wished for that, the wife and kids, but the man who was thawed out is completely different. So something like that, you know. Ruffalo as Hulk, obviously, I mean, he's kind of... both him and Thor they have unfinished business here, where, you know, we don't really know. Maybe it's setting up Planet Hulk, maybe, but he's kind of been dealing with some stuff, so who knows what's going to happen with him. But there's kind of like this, you know, ships passing in the night love story between him and Black Widow, which I really liked. I really did like that kind of almost final scene with her, where she's just kind of staring off and kind of thinking about what she's lost. So a movie like this has the time to do a scene like that, which I appreciated. So put that all together, you have a movie that's kind of messy, but in a really nice way. So I'd rate Avengers: The Age of Ultron 3.5 stars out of 4. This is high concept comic book adventure, and it is an exhilarating action movie with characters that we love, and I thought it was fun. It was fun. I mean, ultimately, this is a popcorn movie, but as Steven Spielberg said of Minority Report, it's a gourmet popcorn movie. So I really enjoyed it. Can't wait for the next batch of Marvel crap that they throw out, and we'll have glowing purple things and glowing yellow things and glowing things all over the place. So that's my review. Rambled on for 20 minutes now. If you like this, give me a thumbs up, comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you thought of Avengers below. And until next time, I'll see you later. And until next time, Avengers